Tonight, new developments in the diplomatic deal between Iran and the U.S. that brought 7 Americans home.
Five of those freed Americans were held as prisoners in Iran, some of them for years, for crimes they and the U.S. said were unfounded.
ABC's Ike Jachi is in Washington with the latest.
5 American prisoners now free, some spending years behind bars in Iran's notorious Evin prison. The Americans seen after their plane landed in Doha, Qatar, after leaving Iran early Monday. The U.S. identifying 3 of the 5 Iranian American prisoners as Siamak Namazi, Murad Tabaz, and Imad Sargi, each sentenced to 10 years behind bars after being convicted of espionage, which the prisoners and the U.S. government say were fabricated. The mother of one prisoner and the wife of another were also released. While they were not imprisoned, they were not free to leave Iran until now. Last month, the U.S. and Iran striking a deal, allowing both countries to exchange 5 prisoners, as well as giving Iran access to roughly $6 billion in its frozen oil revenue. Republicans blasting the deal, likening the $6 billion payment to a ransom.
I mean, whenever you put a price on American heads, you get an incentive for people to take more hostages.
Biden administration officials have repeatedly said the funds can only be used by Iran for humanitarian purposes. As part of the swap, 5 Iranians convicted or charged with crimes in the U.S. have been granted clemency. Once in Qatar, President Biden shared a brief video call with the freed Americans and their families. As the 7 are now headed back to the U.S., Secretary of State Antony Blinken telling reporters he had an emotional conversation with the Americans.
I have no higher priority. The President has no higher priority than making sure that Americans who are unjustly detained anywhere can come home.
Iran's president says this prisoner swap could be a step in the direction of humanitarian action between the two nations. Still, they remain deeply divided on several other issues, such as Iran's nuclear program and its influence around the region. Ike Jachi, ABC News, Washington.